Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it. The trials and tribulations of Mr. Stephen Wolf. Stephen Wolf is here.
How's everybody? Good. The reason when Mike asked what I should have as my intro, Trials and Tribulations of Steve Wolf, was because, and not to think that my life has been that drastic, it's just that for very interesting things, especially family related. And I'll give you the starter. For the first 6 years of my life, I actually shared a bed with my brother. I have a brother that's 4.5 years older than me, Phil. He's not here tonight. The family's going to be here tomorrow night. Friends are here tonight. Or I'll find out if they're friends or not. So basically, what I thought I was is every morning I woke up and there was this puddle that I was on top of. And I was the family bedwetter. I just couldn't believe, and finally, you kind of get used to that. My relatives were talking about it, and everybody would, it was embarrassing. But then my mother decides to change things up a little bit. She goes out and actually buys us 2 beds, something she should have probably done years ago. And a miracle happens. I wake up the first night after sleeping in the bed, and I'm dry. I said, "Mom, did you get some kind of special bed?" "No." Well, what happened was, my brother became honest with me. My brother was wetting the bed every night. And he was taking me and putting me in his mess. And every morning, I thought I was a bedwetter. Now, I said to Phil after he actually told me that, and I didn't say it, but I'm making this part of the routine. It's fun. I feel good about that. I said, "Phil, paybacks are a bitch." And so what happened was, I ended up, I found out from Phil later, he told me the story, that I actually would sleepwalk at night. And I got every move right that ended me in the bathroom. And then I would, pee and go back to bed. Well, apparently this night I got up on the wrong side of the bed. And I made all the moves, but I ended up in the hallway. And according to my brother, as he tells the story, he says, "Steve, you were standing there like all groggy, and he's yelling, 'Steve, don't!' And while he's doing that, I proceed to pull my pants down, turn over to him, and pee all over him. And so paybacks are a bitch." One last story about Phil. Phil really wanted to go to overnight camp in the worst way. And one of the cardinal rules about overnight camp is you can't wet the bed or they'll send you home. So he spent nights not going to sleep. He was traumatized by it. And finally, he came up with what he thought was the solution. He put Scotch tape on the tip of his penis. Obviously that did not work, and he was sent home from camp. So that's the beginning. Now, even going further back to the beginning, my mother, she had 4 brothers and her grandparents, her parents, and all the families of the brothers, and including my family, we all had a family bakery business. She gets married to my father, who's also part of the business, and they have my brother. And then 4 years later or so, she gets pregnant with me, and she wants a girl in the worst way. And I'm born, and it turns out there were 13 births that night in Mount Sinai Hospital in South Philadelphia. 12 girls and me. I'm telling you before I say this, this is the truth. 14 years later, we moved from South Philadelphia to Northeast Philadelphia. And I'm going to a birthday party for a girl I met. Her birthday happens to fall on the same day as me. Oh, I missed one part. My mother wanted to change my name to Stephanie. Now this won't sound good in the joke, but try to think back a little further. So anyway, I go to the party, and I'm talking to the girl's mother, And I told her where I was from, and I told her I'm born on the same day as your daughter. And she says, wait a second, you're Stephanie, and your mother didn't want you. Thanks. Yeah, that was, so this was a trial and tribulation. I think with all these back things that were happening to me, I actually, I think it came out all right. I hope. Now, here's a friend. Thank you, Stuart. No. Now, getting back to my brother also, my brother was one of the last people to have polio. And when he was 14 years old, my parents were always looking for some way to help him, improve his situation. And they had him have a surgery. And this surgery, after the surgery, they put a metal pin in his arm. He had a 50-pound plaster cast on that started from his waist, that went up through his arm, and there was a post between his arm and the side of his cast. So, as creative as we all were, and it was during the summer months, we had to think of something to do, so we started our life of crime. There was a department store called Bargain City, and I don't know if any of you from South Philadelphia remember that. And we used to go into the store. I was the bag man, and I'd go buy a record, then I'd stuff 5 more records in the bag, walk out of the store and stick them in Phil's cast, between the stomach and the cast. So, now, that life of crime lasted about 3 weeks. So I'm walking out of the store and I've bought the 1 record, and I've got the 4 others in the bag, and as I'm walking out of the store, I get tapped on the shoulder, and it's the store detective. And I can still see my mother sitting there crying, and my brother's crying that he led me into this life of crime. And the most ironic part of the entire thing was the record that I actually bought was named Straighten Up and Fly Right. Now, I'm going to go into some other, I'm back in South Philly, still there, and I meet the love of my life, Shelley, who's not here tonight. She will be here tomorrow night, but this is going to give me license. I don't want any of my friends or anybody else to talk about what I'm going to talk about tonight, because I'm going to definitely alter it tomorrow night. And basically, she's a great gal, so I have my bachelor party, and we go to a place that used to be the Troc. I'm sure you folks know it now. It's the Trocadero. It's a dance club. And that night, we have the headliner was a stripper named Miss Wow Wow. I'm not making this up. Now, can you imagine, Miss Wow Wow is advertised as having 54 double Ds. The problem is it came along with a 60-inch waist and the butt of the size of Mount Rushmore. So, then, let's see, where am I back here? One other thing about a bachelor party, because one of my friends are here tonight, and this joke came from Mark. 30 years later, we go to a bachelor party for a friend of ours get married for the 3rd time. Now things are a little more sophisticated now. We're at Lila's. And so there were no Miss Wow Wows in there, that's for sure. Well, we're sitting there, and Mark and I are sitting there, and there's a woman, that she's on a stool that's spinning around, not too much bigger than this stool. I don't know if she had the balance to do it. And she didn't have any clothes on, and she had a beautiful figure and a beautiful derriere. And
she was a guy.
No, no. See, I'm giving you the line and you're giving me a hard time. Okay. I'm looking at her, I'm like, oh my God, this is beautiful. And I finally said to Mark, walks over at me, and he leans at me and says, "You see that? Poop comes out of that." Now this is the part about Shelley. I love her to death. She's a great woman. She's the love of my life. But she, in 42 years of marriage, I have not owned a car that hasn't had a damage to it, and some very critical ones. Thankfully, she's all right. But basically, she has, first time, she gets a new car, she has an accident, she takes it to be repaired, she gets back in the car, gets into an accident driving home from the body shop. We had, I was listing them now in this paper, all these different cars, and I figured one, I was going to try and really see if I could capitalize when I went to go to sell it. We had an 86 Saab with an 89 rear and a 91 front. So, now, we also had two cars, I don't think you could make this up, two cars that we leased, and we had the inspection and at the end of the lease, and the next day she got in an accident with both cars. So I finally came up with a solution. Unfortunately, she was not hurt in any of them. But I finally came up with a solution. I'm working with an engineer to see if they can make a car with external airbags. Okay, where do I want to finish here? I have to tell this last story about my sister, Sister Norma. Norma's a great gal, very gullible. And Shelley and I were going on a vacation to Jamaica, and we ran out. I needed a bathing suit. We ran out that Sunday afternoon to the department store, and it was pretty empty. The store was about to close. And Norma and Shelley go and get a bathing suit for me to put on. A red Speedo. So I go into the men's room. I start to change. I put the Speedo on, but I also put the two socks that I had in there. Now I look like I have elephantiasis. And I walk out, and the first thing that my sister says, this thing being gullible, she looks at me and she goes, "Stephen, I didn't know you were so well endowed." And of course, Shelley had a very quick answer. He's not. Because her goal in life is to make sure that neither one of my heads gets swollen. And with that, I'm departing.